Today we are doing a simulated powerlifting comp with all of your favorite fitness influencers. We're going to talk about both absolute numbers and pound for pound, and one of these people absolutely pops off and is way stronger than I would have expected. Now let's talk about who's going to be involved. First of all is the Tren Twins. They did a simulated powerlifting comp themselves. I'm going to use Christian because he ended up being stronger. They've got chaos, cheat curls, and vibes. But can they pull numbers? We have Greg Doucette, screeching his way to hypertrophy and drama, now a cycling master. But back in the day, he was pretty damn strong. We've got Jesse James West, the king of internet energy, and he has done a powerlifting show, but what's on the barbell? We have Will Tennyson, maybe the master of food challenges and fitness experiment aficionado, but can he lift with all of the other big lifters? We've got Sam Sulek, the internet's favorite mutant, and how much of a mutant is he actually when we load up the barbell? And finally, we have Jeff Nippard, Team Science, actually has a history of powerlifting. So is it all go and no show now, or did Jeff have big numbers back in the day? Now, we're using estimated lifts. We're gonna use dot score, which is a way to compare pound for pound and see who is actually the strongest. I'm gonna show you all their videos as well. We'll react to them together. Now, before we get into squats, I wanna tell you that if you wanna get strong, I am here to help you. I have one World's Strongest Man. I have my master's degree in clinical exercise physiology. And not only is it a program, but it's education as well. I've popped that down to the link in the description and in the pinned comment for Moose Coaching. All of these are 100% written by me, zero outsourcing whatsoever, and I would love to help you. Let's get into our squats. First of all, let's talk about Christian. Now, they did a simulated powerlifting comp, and they are not powerlifters in any way. They are bodybuilders, look good, bro science, awesome. He used the closest stance I have ever seen on a squat. He also used high bar and bare knees. Clearly didn't really know where his 1 rep max was going to be on this lift. He doubled 405 and then got buried by 495. I'm estimating his 1 rep max here is probably around 465, but I cannot believe squatting that narrow. We see that come up again, and clearly this is bodybuilder style squatting, but if you widen your feet and you drive your knees out, you get glutes and hamstrings involved as well, instead of just making it a closed chain knee extension. So I have his estimated 1 rep max at 465 pounds. Next up is Greg Doucette. Greg actually competed in powerlifting quite a bit, and his best was 573 pounds. Now, Greg, you can tell this difference between his squat stance and Christian's is massive. Christian, very close. Greg, very wide. All you have to do to get a legal depth squat is how you have your hip crease cross below the top of your knee. So if you go very wide, you don't have to move the bar near as far. Greg was clearly taking advantage of this. He also wore knee sleeves. They are helpful. No one in here has worn wraps or anything greater than sleeves, but sleeves do give a little bit extra. So Greg at 573 pounds. Jesse James West, he did a competition with 30 days prep, and he squatted 445 pounds. This looked pretty much close to what he would be capable of, so I'm giving him 445 pounds as a finish. Next up, Will Tennyson. Very similar concept. He did a 30-day prep into a powerlifting show, but he also did a powerlifting meet with lean beef patty. So we have two sources for Will, and in this, with lean beef patty, he squatted 507 pounds. So Will has a high bar stance here. I'd love to see the bar lower on his traps if he was going for max power, and he dives in really quick into the hole, which is helpful. You get this thing called the stretch shorten cycle. It's a natural way for your body to maintain homeostasis. If your muscles get too far away from resting length, they just try to contract back to resting length. And that's why you'll pop out of the hole on squats and you fail about halfway up. Now, really good lift there from Will. Clearly has some experience lifting heavy. Moving on to Sam Sulek. Now, this is the first time we're gonna have to do some estimation, so bear with me. We have a set here of 495 pounds for a set of 12, beltless, high bar, close stance with his heels elevated. Now, there's this chart here that I love to use when it comes to estimating 1 rep max. And here it says 67% of your 1 rep max is what you would be able to do for 12 reps. 495 for 12 leaves Sam at 739 pounds. An incredible squat, but we have to remember this is beltless and sleeveless. If you put a belt on, it adds on average 10%, and that 10% would take him to 813 pounds. It's reasonable to say sleeves would then add another 25 pounds on top of that. So Sam, he squatted, let's say, 838 pounds, if we just follow pure logic. Of course, it would take some training and adaptation for him to get used to this type of weight, but based on the numbers, that is what he would be able to squat. Again, this is still a very close stance. This is still heels elevated. I haven't accounted for that at all, but with that, 838 in sleeves, puts him as the number 5 squat at under 242 pounds of all time. Sam off to a hot start with this powerlifting show. Good thing is this set of 12 was pretty much maximal, so we can say that's a full effort for Sam. A lot of assumptions going on here, but I think safe to assume that it would be pretty impressive. Lastly, Jeff. And Jeff actually has the most powerlifting experience of anyone. His open powerlifting results, there's actually quite a number of them. His best is 451 pounds in competition. It looked like he had a little bit more there, 456. One really cool thing, Jeff has one of the biggest YouTube channels in the fitness world right now. But this video has 13,000 views from 10 years ago. Now he has 7.4 million subscribers. It's so cool to see someone with a YouTube channel in the early days that is absolutely blown up now. But his early videos were still just him powerlifting and him getting after it. That was really, really cool to see. I think probably the coolest thing to come out from this research altogether. So, squat rankings. We have Sam Sulek in first at a simulated 838 pounds. In second, we have Greg Doucette at 573. Third is Will Tennyson, 507. Fourth is Christian from the Tren Twins with 465. Fifth is Jeff Nippard at 456. And sixth is Jesse James West at 445 at the end. I'm going to give you the pound for pound comparison. Now let's move on to bench press. Starting with Christian, he benched 505, but he wrapped his elbows. This is the newest trendy thing in influencer world, is using those elbow wraps. Larry Wheels popularized these first. I have nothing against it as an accessory exercise, like using a slingshot by Mark Bell, but it's not a representation of how much you can actually bench. They add a considerable amount of weight. So, no wrapped elbows if you're looking for a maximum, please. For the elbow wraps, I'm going to be taking off 40 pounds. I think that's reasonable. Knee wraps add about 100 pounds to your squat, I've found. And I'm going to take 30 pounds off because he didn't pause it. He wasn't doing competition standard. I'm going to take a little bit off for that. So 505 is knocked down to 435 pounds. Greg Doucette was an absolute animal at bench press and held a national or I believe international record at one period in time at 529 pounds. He still has the number 33 all-time bench press in the under 198 category. And this brings me to a general point. People talk about how influencers haven't accomplished anything and they're just online because they have great personalities or because they got lucky or they fit the algorithm or whatever it may be. Greg Doucette was an international level powerlifter. Jeff Nippard had multiple powerlifting meets under his belt. Jesse James West was a collegiate lacrosse player. Sam Sulek now has his pro card in bodybuilding. These people don't just come from nowhere. They don't go from absolute nobodies to somebody overnight. There is often underlying huge success before their internet fame. Moving on to Jesse James West. He benched 335 pounds in comp. He failed 346. 335 looked pretty close to what he would be capable of. We're going to give him 335. Will Tennyson, at that 30-day prep for his powerlifting show, he benched 353 pounds. This was, again, pretty much a maximum, so that is where we are leaving it. Sam Sulek, not interested in powerlifting, but I'm making you interested in powerlifting, Sam. Deal with it. He benched 405 for 7 on an incline, and welcome to my land of assumptions. Again, bear with me. 405 for 7 on an incline would be about 83% of your 1 rep max, based on the chart there. And that would equate to an incline press of 488 pounds. Generally speaking, incline press is about 75% of your flat bench, putting his flat bench at 651 pounds. We do have to account for some level of pause, of course, but he's going to be somewhere up in that territory. This was just a normal set. This is not training for strength. I'm not confident this is his best set ever. This is the best set that I could find. And this 651 assumed estimated bench would put him at number 2 all time in the under 242 pound class. Lastly, Jeff Nippard benched 353 pounds in comp. This was close to a maximum, so we're giving him 353. And really solid result for his body weight, which we'll get to in a moment. But to give bench press rankings, Sam Sulek in number 1, Greg Doucette in number 2, Christian from the Tren Twins in number 3. Tied for 4th is Will Tennyson and Jeff Nippard. And in 6th is Jesse James West. Moving on to deadlifts, Christian from the Tren Twins. He ended up pulling with straps and sumo 635 pounds. I'm not taking anything off here. I have no problem with sumo. Straps, fine. We're going to live with him today and say he learned how to hook grip. He was pretty excited about this lift. And you can tell by the reaction how close someone is to their true 1 rep max. And this leads me to believe this was either a PR or something very close to what he would be capable of. Greg Doucette, 705 pounds in competition. Now, the lift looks good to me. It's not listed in open powerlifting, so he might have got some red lights for this lift. But if you watch it here, I have no issue with what happened. I don't know how you don't get that lift. One honorable mention for Greg, he has a world record that I tried to beat, which is 403 pounds for 50 reps in 60 seconds. for the shortest range of motion world record of all time. Still pretty hard to beat. 705 pounds for Greg. Jesse James West, 489 pounds. This was in his 30-day prep. He did this sumo, otherwise all to competition standard, no problems at all, and a clean lift. Will Tennyson with lean beef patty and in his 30-day prep. In both of these cases, he deadlifted 530 pounds. He looked like he probably had about 10 more pounds in the tank, so I'm gonna give him 540. Now, he looked like he had more to give in his 30-day prep video where he was in a proper powerlifting meet. So I'm gonna say that that is probably where he's going to fall. Lastly, Sam Sulek. Sam claims a max deadlift of 405 pounds, somewhat facetiously in this video, but he says he doesn't do them because they don't contribute to bodybuilding, and this makes sense. There's a video of Sam deadlifting 500 kilos. I'll let you guys watch this and you tell me if you think this is legit or not. I think he might be being extra humble. I think Sam might be up in that territory, but for now, we're gonna say Sam max deadlift theoretically is 405 pounds. And lastly, we have Jeff Nippard. Jeff pulled 457 in comp, pretty easy, so I'm gonna give him 470 pounds on that day. Again, also, this is a power bar. Jeff competed in drug-tested IPF. We're gonna talk about drugs in a second. Happy days. But to go over the full deadlift rankings now, Greg Doucette in at first, Christian at number 2, Will at number 3, Jesse James West at number 4. Jesse, you beat them in deadlift. You got 2 places in deadlift. Jeff Nippard at number 5, and Sam Sulek, allegedly in number 6. But let's go through some analysis here. The totals. In first place, Sam Sulek at 1,894 pounds. Second place, Greg Doucette, 1,807 pounds. In third place, we have Christian at 1,535 pounds. Fourth place, we have Will Tennyson at 1,400 pounds. Fifth place, we have Jeff Nippard at 1,279 pounds. And in sixth place, we have Jesse James West at 1,269 pounds. Now, to talk about the training into these lifts, Jesse in sixth, he had 30 days to prepare. Will in fifth had 30 days to prepare. Jeff Nippard powerlifted for about 3 years. Christian, no specific powerlifting training, just jumped in. Sam Sulek, no powerlifting training and a lot of approximations going on. And Greg powerlifted for about 8 years. If we think about the focus, Jesse and Will were doing a YouTube challenge. Jeff was doing powerlifting in the medium term. Christian and Sam both bodybuilding focused, Greg powerlifted long term. But there's one thing that makes all of this make sense, and I don't think I'm outing anyone here, but if we overlay the amount of time they dedicated to it and whether they're natural or not, contributes to all of these results. Jesse, Will, and Jeff, all natural. Jesse has claimed it, Will has claimed it, Jeff was in a tested powerlifting federation, also claims it. Those 3 guys in 6th, 5th, and 4th. They're in their own category. And then we have the bodybuilders, Christian, Sam, and Greg, who all take performance-enhancing drugs. I assume. I don't know Christian. I don't know Sam personally. Greg was open about his use in the past. Christian is called a Tren Twin. I assume that means you are open about your use, but not natural. Sam, not natural. Greg, not natural. It's incredible the amount of difference that makes when you look over time. So the more you practice, the better you're going to be within your category, of course. But one person stands out above the rest. And let's talk about the DOTS numbers, or the weight by weight comparison, and see who comes out on top here. Now, number 1 is Greg Doucette. He had a very light body weight of 198 pounds with a total of 1,807. This gives him a 530 DOTS score. His world ranking at 598. Not bad. Second place, Sam Sulek, a total of 1,894, DOTS of 510 because of his 240 pound body weight. His world ranking 1,420 seconds. Now, the other guys are way down the list. Fair enough. No need to dive into that. But one thing I do want to dive into is Sam. Let's think about Sam's potential. Now, Sam's predicted squat was 838 pounds based on numbers and logic. His best deadlift, he claimed 405, but clearly it's just because he can't be bothered to deadlift. Let's just say he widened his squat stance and he started using his hamstrings and glutes. Maybe his 838 squat is 875. If his deadlift was just equal to his close stance, high bar, sleeveless squat, let's say it's 838, reasonable to assume. So long as he can hang onto the bar, which I'm sure he could, a deadlift of 838 and a squat of 875. This is just some extra training, just some specific work to become a good powerlifter. His total would be 2,364 pounds. His DOTS would be 637, and he would be the second best raw powerlifter of all time behind John Hack. I do not feel comfortable in any way saying that, but the logic checks out. If you can close stance high bar squat with heels elevated 495 for 12, clearly you could squat well over 700, probably over 800. That just makes sense. There's no other way to say it. If you can incline press 405 for 7, well, 405 flat is going to be nothing. 500 on flat is still going to be pretty easy. It stands to reason that his bench would be at least high 500s, at least, if not low 600s. And his deadlift, clearly, someone like that who can squat that much, his arms aren't particularly short. He's not really built for deadlifting, but if you practiced and you have the power he does, he would be up there. So Sam comes out on top, in my opinion. We're going to say that deadlift is fake. The 405 is something he could do much more. The 500 kilo, probably not real, but jury is out. If he just put in a decent deadlift, he would be number one on this list, and he would be in the top 100 in the world of all time. I think Sam Sulek could be a better powerlifter than a bodybuilder. For the meantime, Sam will be famous on social media. He will look like an absolute god. He will not go into fat land as the rest of us strength athletes, but maybe he should. I hope you guys enjoyed that. Let me know if you're surprised at all by these results. I kind of am, but also they are so easy to reason with when you look at how much focus they put behind it and what they committed themselves to. It stands to reason, anyone out there, if you have a big goal, you want to get really strong, you got to talk years. Greg Doucette, 8 years of powerlifting to hit really good numbers. Those are the timeframes you have to be working with within reason to even think about what your genetic potential might be. You don't lift in the first year and say, I'm going to win world's strongest man. Give it 5 years and see how strong are you actually, and move on from there. Again, guys, if you want my help, Moose Coaching down in the description. If you haven't subscribed to the channel already, go ahead and do that. Thank you very much for watching. As per always, lift heavy, be kind.